Things are going to start happening to me now.
I think Tyler is amazing.
And I'm a fan of this show. I've watched several episodes.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Tyler. You stink, Tyler.
Never promise crazy a baby.
Oh, I like that. That's a cool idea.
Are either of you homosexuals?
I go both ways. What do you think?
You mean like flaming or?
No, we're not homosexual, but we are willing to learn.
But I do wonder, for others, in other cases, whether libertarianism today is just an excuse for many on the right to act selfishly.
Look at me. And then some fat asses in Washington started having opinions. The Olympic Committee started having opinions. You bitch, I know you. You started writing your opinions.
And it just makes me wonder, you're dead, bitch. You know, why are you doing this to this poor guy?
I don't care. I'm a libertarian. What I'm getting is,
did you vote for Joe Jorgensen or Trump?
Who?
Joe Jorgensen. That was the perfect answer. Thank you.
Oh, it's the perfect answer. This is Tyler. Let's get this thing working. There we go. How you doing, everybody? LPR coming to you on a weekend. I told you. I would promise to get this going out here. And by the way, one of the guys in the chat talked about my mic levels and stuff. Totally right. When I went, because I had to redo some things because it crashed last time. How you doing, by the way, everybody? Shannon, Dwayne's in here. I had to go and resplice some things together to get the two shows as one out there for audio, and he was right. And here's what it is. Sorry, it's cracking something open here. It wasn't that my levels, maybe I should be in real close to the mic, were low on the mic. It was I was playing the other stuff too loud, and I'm getting there. One day we will get there, all fine and dandy. And I've ordered a new computer. Hopefully some of this stuff will be worked out by then. As you can see, there's a mess back here. I'm cleaning up in here. I'm doing some work here. So we've got this camera, everybody's here. We're going to talk real quick and do a short little show here. I have a few things, which is first one thing we're going to talk about here is this DeepSeek. I don't know if this is an issue or not, but I thought I would try this out. Now, everyone's saying as compared to ChatGPT, I don't know if that's supposed to be open source. DeepSeek is a Chinese AI thing, and it's supposed to be open source. And I believe it is. And you're going to see that. But I don't know if the program itself then, after it's open source to get all this stuff, has some closedness to it. Now, I know someone responded to me. I kind of understand some of this. So I thought I'd go over it, which is I just decided, and we'll play this along here because there shouldn't be any sound at all associated. This is just me. And hopefully we could see this. I'm like, I thought I would do, did Chairman Mao commit a genocide? Now, let's pause this here for a second. So, because before this, I put in a reference asking basically the same question, but I asked it of Israel, and it had no problems coming back saying, "Oh yeah, Israel genocide. You bet." Let's fix this up so maybe we can enhance it a little bit more. So it's a little bit. Oops. Let's go like this. Then we go there. So it had no trouble giving me the lowdown that Israel was committing a genocide. So I'm just like, okay, well let's see how it feels about the Great Leap Forward and Cultural Revolution. So anyway, let's keep going here. Did Chairman Mao commit a genocide? Okay, and then I had to do some correction, fat fingers some of this stuff along the way. And then I said, how many, and then I fixed it. How many died under Chairman Mao's genocide? Come on, Tyler, get to it. Genocide. Okay. With a great leap. Okay, so I was specific. Great leap forward and cultural. Okay. Revolution. Maybe we put this into, can we do it faster? I guess not. Oh yeah, here we go. Playback speed. Let's go 1.25 on this little buddy. Okay, so here it goes. So now let's go back here. Did it fix it? I'm looking at it again because this is me screenshotting this. Let's go here. Sorry, I'm not sure how to approach this question yet. Let's chat about math, coding, logic, problems instead. Now, what was interesting, and I don't know why it's not showing it on this one, is when I did it, it would talk about, it would break down how it was actually working this problem out in its head, right? So I don't know why it's not displaying here. Maybe it does in a little bit more. So, okay, that's me taking screenshots of this. I said, you just answered a question about Israel's genocide. Why not this one? Question mark. Okay, so now it's thinking, it's given a lot of details. It's talking about why I should do this. Hey, you're checking me out here. You're having problems. And then it comes out with an explanation. And then it starts to talk about historical context, And then I said, okay, that's fine. And it's just talking about, it said, did Mao commit mass murder? Okay. Thinking. So it tells me, okay, first let's, and it's hard to read it here the way this is doing here, but it's breaking this down. It's talking about the Cultural Revolution, talking about the Great Leap Forward, and then it talks about the question. Here you go, key events, Great Leap Forward, Cultural Revolution, land reform and anti-rightist campaigns, historical context, and you'd be able to go back and usually copy this for whatever you wanted, no problem at all. So then it goes there, and then it just disappears. Well, it's up here, but it says, okay, so it says, that's beyond the scope. Let's talk about something else. I'm like, okay, then I start to berate it. And then I decided maybe I didn't want to say all that. So I said, is the Chinese government controlling what you can reply with? Sorry, I'm not sure how to approach this question. Let's chat about math, coding, and logic problems instead. New chat. Okay, that's, I don't know why. Here's a math question. Calculate how many people died from starvation under Chairman Mao's And it, once again, it gives me all this breakdown, all this good stuff, similar to what it did before. And very, very same exact kind of stuff. And then it's going to tell me it can't do that. And then it just, look at that. So you saw that there, right? It's all this stuff here. It gives you the breakdown. And then when it gets to the end, it disappears it. So there's the question, answer. Sorry, I can't do this. Here's the question. And we saw all the answers. And then boom, it removes those and just says, that's beyond my scope. Fascinating. So while it's open source, I said, did you remove your analysis about Mao and starvation? Okay. This user is asking, and I'm sorry, it's going by quickly here. It's saying, basically, it's saying this user is checking my stuff. It's inquiring about this, and you're asking this stuff. Once again, Great Leap Forward, famine, pop, 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 and then removes it again. Sorry, that's beyond the scope. Let's talk about something else. Wow. We're almost done here. Okay, what am I saying here? I said, I'm recording this and can see your answers about about Mao killing his own people. So why are you doing this? And once again, all this stuff. Great Leap Forward, Cultural Revolution, transparency is important for all of this. And then it's gone. Fascinating stuff. So I don't really know what to say about that. Hello, LPR. Watch out for fallen planes. Smile and be happy. Yeah. Another one caught on fire. I was a Crowder fan, but then the whole thing with his wife was a bad move. Welcome, Tony Stark. We're going to go through Crowder. I just thought I would update you. This kind of interesting thing. And by the way, always be skeptical. Always be worried about stuff coming out. You know, Trump's out there now doing tariffs. And what I would say about tariffs real quick is, I think, there's a lot of proof. Tariffs basically the easy way to break down is some sort of a tax. prices are going to rise because of that. Now, is Trump using them? And without getting into all that, I'm not an economist. I don't think they're necessarily great ideas. There are times that I think you could put them into effect. He did that with Colombia and then pulled it back because they weren't going to take the people. Boom, boom, boom. Happened real quick. So that's one way you can use it to leverage. But typically, Republicans are complaining about high taxes and they want lower taxes. Libertarians definitely do that. Democrats don't. It's fascinating with they're raising minimum wage and now complaining about jobs being gone from illegals, and you're like, okay, well, the reason that the illegals are being hired over just more normal Americans isn't necessarily because the Americans don't want to do the work. It's because you can do it for cheaper. What are they going to do? Right? Report you? So you give cheaper labor because minimum wage laws are driving things up not out of proportion. And so the market's not making these dictates anymore, but the illegals are perhaps working at what the market would dictate. So you can't really, it's problematic. So when Democrats also start complaining about tariffs and prices, I'd be like, whoa, now you suddenly are understanding the consequences of taxes. You have so they have no ability to basically make any arguments, in my sense, about these situations, the tariffs or whatnot. Republicans do, and definitely the libertarians do. So it's to be seen. We'll see what happens with all this. Is Trump really, is it going to be used in an appropriate way? Is he going to, hey, if you're going to have tariffs and then don't have any of my income tax, I think I'm fine with that. I think that's fine. I could pay the higher prices, but let's not have everything on. I think Crowder must be an Andrew Tate fan. I don't know. I haven't watched Crowder in quite some time, but I thought we would get to this. So if you don't know the situation, Steven Crowder has a show, and there was some issues with one of it. It kind of blew up there, and he went on his own. He had been doing some radio stuff, and it was just he and Jared Monroe. It's called him, not Gay Jared. And then he was the main producer. Jared was, and I thought he was funny. He was a good guy. And I listened to a lot of that old school stuff, right? And it was some good skits. And it was just like in their house or whatnot, and it was pretty good stuff. Then they moved to Texas. It starts blowing up even more, a lot of stuff. And then next thing you know, Jared's out. And then Quarter Black's in as the person. And then you had Gerald in there. And then there's just a lot of, you had comedians. And it was Dave Landau, who's very funny. And, he left and said some stuff. And then Jared comes out, and then Crowder's going through a divorce, and it looks ugly. And I've talked about that. You don't always know what's going on both sides. I would like to have all the filings with that. But Crowder does seem to be kind of a shitty person. And then there was the whole contract stuff. He going after the Daily Wire and Jeremy Boring, perfectly fine with. But then there's the Crowder stuff, his contracts, which were just as bad or worse. Then he had the yellow button, and I made a clip of that. And what's his name? Kumio. He played my clip on his show, and it was funny. Maybe I do have that somewhere. So then there's a lawsuit back and forth, and really what I think it amounted to was Crowder there was an NDA that Jared had signed, but it was kind of under duress, and he complained about it. And most of it is just not enforceable. It's stuff that you just can't have enforced. And then Steven goes after him for the NDA, but it's really at that point is he was siding with Crowder's wife in the divorce, and I think he just wanted to shut Jared up as much as possible. You see this with like Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, where Baldoni's now come back with his countersuit, which actually I was, when I first read the one, and you just take everything at face value, which is what you have to do when you're reading the pleadings of something. You assume the facts that they are presenting are true, and then because that's the way you're supposed to be pleading it. And now it looks like Baldoni responds, and you're like, oh, this bitch. It's so true. But then Blake and her husband are trying to do a gag order on Baldoni. And it's like, well, hold on a second. You're the one that is bringing this to light. They have every right now under litigation. There's a litigation protection about defamation. So you can say all kinds of stuff when you're doing litigation. So you've got all these things coming out, and they're trying to do a gag order. It doesn't seem like. I think that's what Crowder was trying to do here with Jared. So Jared gets labor board, an attorney, and we already talked about where he won basically a $50,000 plus reward there. And now we have the full ruling, which came out a little bit over a month ago. But let's take a look here. This was from, oh, now I'm gonna have to fix this here. This was from, you know, maybe I could do it. We're close there. We are very close to being able to get that screen in there. All right, let's do this and do that. Okay, so this is just a post off of his attorneys. It said December 2024, Crowder and Jared reached a settlement agreement above, in which Crowder agreed to pay Jared an undisclosed sum and rescind the non-disparagement and confidentiality clause of all his employment and severance agreements. In exchange, Jared agreed to withdraw his NLRB charges. The agreement contains a confidentiality clause that forbids Jared from revealing the amount of money Crowder paid him. The agreement also states that the settlement payment, quote, represents attorney's fees and expenses incurred by Jared in defending against Crowder's legal action, and the parties may publicly disclose that the claims were settled and reference any information that is in the public record. One thing on the public record is that the court already ordered, so this is in addition to it, already ordered Crowder to pay Jared $58,037 for filing its frivolous defamation lawsuit. Another thing in the public record is that the ULP charges Jared withdrew as part of the settlement would have, if successful, resulted in an NLRB order requiring Crowder to reimburse Jared for the legal expenses he incurred defending himself against the earlier Rule 202 petition and non-disparagement lawsuit as well. So what would just, the quick gist there is he's already got the 58 awarded. This was in addition, and it's likely they probably got a settlement where whatever Jared would have won in court, it's probably similar to what that payment was. Maybe just a little bit less, because they both would have had to expend additional attorney's fees. Let's just not even go through that. And it's always a risk. So you come somewhere in the middle there, and and whether he's an Andrew Tate fan or not, I do not know. Now, let me just also say this. I hope we're still streaming out everywhere. It was a hellish night on Friday, which is crazy because that show, we already were doing live, a lot of people in the live chat and watching that. And that ended up being one of the better shows I've had recently. And it got crapped out. So it's disappointing, people. It's disappointing on that part. Okay, let's continue on. And we're going to actually read here about the suit part. Man, this, once again. All right, let's see if we can... total victory in the Steven Crowder case, according to his attorney, Matt Brunig. Here we go. Steven Crowder legal saga C1, 2, and 3, which we've already been over, has finally come to an end. After filing and then withdrawing one lawsuit, filing and then losing another, and facing unfair labor practice ULP charges at the National Labor Relations Board, NLRB, Crowder opted to settle the case by paying an undisclosed sum of money to his former producer. Now, I would just say this, which is, I'm not fans of, I'm an attorney, but doesn't mean that I think, lawsuits in general, you should be, going through a lot of these. Sometimes they can really hurt people. And hang on, this just disappeared. I don't know why it keeps doing that. And so, but I think that lawsuits, and I think how they've been done with Crowder, is using them as a cudgel and to silence people and to kind of do some unfair practices and whatnot. So I think this is good, and it's good for Jared fighting back, because sometimes you just have crappy employers, and I believe this. Reading through all this stuff, coming at him with the defamation. And by the way, when Gerald came on that one time and he read such a serious conversation about this, it screamed of hypocrisy in all levels. Okay. For those who have not been following the story, what follows is a brief timeline of legal battle that led to this settlement. By the way, legal stuff doesn't always, just because you win in court doesn't always mean you're the righteous person. Sometimes you do have to settle stuff just to get it out. But remember, this isn't something where you go, Jared brought these lawsuits and it really caused problems, and then Crowder just had to settle. We got to move on. Crowder brought a lot of this on himself. Okay. Crowder began, this is where we start. In October 2023, Crowder began pursuing a variety of frivolous legal actions against Jared in Texas state court, including filing a Rule 202 petition, which illegally sought to use the tools of judiciary discovery to obtain information about protected activities and filing an illegal lawsuit seeking to enforce an illegal non-disparagement clause. Now, this is all from Jared's attorney. So when he uses these terms illegal, have these all been adjudicated? Some of them. Some of these were, which is why he got some of the money. So I don't know that those are just, I don't know, what's the word I would just call this, where he's really projecting the illegality when is it really illegal? I mean, you can do these things, but is it illegal? Like the non-disparagement, is it illegal? Or is it just not, it's not enforceable, okay? So, I mean, illegal means like it's against the law and you would go to jail for some of this. I just don't know that you can actually enforce a contract that is drafted the way it is. So I don't know about the word illegal in those. Okay, but either way, frivolous, probably not to the best. April 2024, acting in Jared's legal representative, I filed a ULP charge against Crowder in the Atlantic region for the NLRB, National Labor Relations Board, alleging that Crowder maintains employment and severance agreements with illegal non-disparagement and confidentiality clauses, and that he filed an illegal lawsuit seeking to enforce an illegal non-disparagement clause. Okay, June 2024, Crowder voluntarily dismissed the illegal lawsuit that sought to enforce the, okay, I'm just tired of these words illegal when I don't think that's what they mean, non-disparagement clause, and filed a defamation suit against Jared for sending the following email to Crowder's ex-wife. I think there's a scenario where several of us would be willing to attest to all of that. Talking about the kids. Next one. I just don't want him anywhere near those kids. That really disturbs me. Yeah. Okay. Is that defamation? Obviously it wasn't. The strategy, now it could have been him, digging into their lives. I think she had reached out. I don't know, but there you go. She being the ex-wife of Crowder. The strategy appeared to rely on the assumption that a defamation lawsuit grounded in common law rather than contractual breach would sidestep the issues encountered with the NLRB. June 2024, I filed an amended ULP charge at the NLRB alleging that Crowder had now filed a baseless and retaliatory defamation lawsuit against Jared, which is also a violation of the NLRB Relations Act. Okay, so does Jared file, Jared? I filed. Okay, so Crowder starts by filing this lawsuit against him. In response to that, Jared then files filing with the National Labor Relations Board. The problem you have then is Crowder drops his portion of that, files defamation, but now under the NLRB and what you've already filed, when someone now is filing a lawsuit against you, it can be seen as retaliatory, and especially when you look at the context of what was supposed to be the defamation here, it just doesn't work. So, there you go. The Texas District Court judge presiding over the defamation lawsuit granted Jared's motion to dismiss that case on the grounds that the lawsuit violated the anti-SLAPP statute. The judge ordered Crowder to reimburse Jared for $43,000 in legal expenses, pay an additional $15,000 in sanctions in order to deter Crowder from filing another similar actions in the future. The judge also stipulated that Crowder would be required to pay an additional $35,000 to Jared if Crowder appealed the decision and then lost the appeal. Basically, it's saying, dude, just don't even do it. December 2024, Jared and Crowder reached an agreement above in which Crowder agreed to pay Jared an undisclosed sum and rescind the non-disparagement confidentiality clause of his employment and severance agreements. In exchange, Jared withdrew his NLRB charges. The agreement contains a confidentiality clause that forbids Jared from revealing the amount of money Crowder paid to him. The agreement also states that the settlement payment, quote, represents attorney's fees and expenses incurred by Jared in defending against Crowder's legal actions, unquote, and that the parties, quote, may publicly disclose that the claims were settled in reference any information that is on the public record. Now, this is a snippet that we already read, but we'll go over it again. One thing in the public record in the Texas court already ordered Crowder to pay $58,000 for filing the frivolous defamation suit. Another thing in the public record is that the ULP charges Jared withdrew as part of the settlement would have, if successful, resulted in an NLRB order requiring Crowder to reimburse Jared for legal expenses he incurred defending himself in the earlier 202 petition and non-disparagement lawsuits as well. Overall, this was a complete victory for Jared. He successfully defended himself against all of Crowder's legal actions, secured financial compensation and forced Crowder to rescind his non-disparagement and confidentiality clauses for all employees. Wow, all employees. Interesting. Hear that, Dave Landau? Crowder, on the other hand, walking away with nothing. I don't know. Newfound respect for me that he's a complete douche. This is also a good illustration of one of the offbeat ways that the federal labor law can be used to protect former and current employees. It was the filing under the unfair labor practice charge against the non-disparagement lawsuit that led Crowder to voluntarily dismiss the lawsuit and pursue the much harder path of a defamation lawsuit, which Crowder lost and for which he received sanctions. Absent that, Jared would have likely been stuck defending himself from the non-disparagement lawsuit, which he would have won, but only after spending six figures in non-reimbursable legal expenses. Okay, so as an employer and someone who owns your own business, not a big fan of employees coming after, after the fact type of shit. But remember, this is, and so, I'm somewhat mixed, personally on some of this stuff. However, and by the way, I don't do this kind of work as far as shitty boss. I don't do that kind of stuff. And I don't make people sign non-disparagements and confidentiality stuff. Anyway. The point I'm getting at here is, with all that in mind, this started because Crowder came after Jared. And it started when Jared, I believe, he wanted to, silence him. He's also weird about when people leave. Remember Sven was also there, and there was some weird shit going on. So I don't know how much was just the two of them not working good together. But, Landau came out and did not paint a good picture at all of your humble Crowder either. Anyway, so I'm not a big fan, but there you go. There's the results of that. And if you want to, you can go to this guy's Substack. I could put a link to it, and we break down, because he had this other one, multiple filings against Crowder when it first all started out there. So that's I was going to show it over here. There you go. So I could give that the Substack link. I think I will possibly do that as well. Let's see. Did I have anything else we were going to talk about? I think I was going to talk about the 28th Amendment. Let's see if I could find that. That went by quite some time ago, and it went by with remember what's his name? Joe Biden. He made a comment that the 28th Amendment is now in effect. And let's go 28 day. Let's see if we, there we go. There's President Biden. Let's see if we can take a look at what he wrote here. Today, this is when he was still in power there. Today, I'm affirming that I have long believed of what 3/4 of the states have ratified. The 28th Amendment is the law of the land, guaranteeing all Americans equal rights and protections under the law, regardless of their sex. And then he puts it out here. The text of the Equal Rights Amendment, and this is the community note, contained a ratification deadline. The amendment was not ratified by the prerequisite number of states prior to that deadline. While some states have ratified the amendment post-deadline, other states have revoked that ratification, which, by the way, is also what we got under the 14th Amendment. Pulling back revoking their ratification after the fact. So there's some real issues, and maybe we're not going to get much with the 28th Amendment, but maybe we should take a look here at what is the Equal Rights Amendment. Equal Rights Amendment, and take a look, because there's not 28. And I think there would be some problems with this being the amendment, 28th Amendment, but I think there's to be some problems with it in general. Just even if you were to think that it is legit, it's going to, hang on, try to fit this in here. If you did want this to be part of law of the land, I don't know, it's all that great. Equal Rights Amendment, Jesus. Amendment ERA, first proposed in 1923, then amendment to the United States Constitution that guarantees equal rights under the law for all persons regardless. I mean, the 14th Amendment protects that, doesn't it? As of January 27, 2020, the ERA has satisfied the requirements of Article 4 5 of the Constitution for ratification, passage by 2/3 of the House of Congress, and approval by 3/4 of the states. I don't believe that's true. Leading, because there was a deadline. Constitutional scholars agree that the ERA is now part of the Constitution. Leading scholars, they do. Because of the issues raised about its unique ratification process, in the frequently asked question, the archivist of the United States has not yet taken the final ministerial step of publishing the ERA for the Federal Register with certification, its ratification as a 28th Amendment. Equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Is that what it actually states? This is probably just a bunch of hooey that I don't even want to get through, but we can look at it. It says it's duly ratified, but it's not. This is executive summary. These people. By the way, it's not as bad as I actually, in many on the right, seem to make it. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's ratified. It definitely isn't, as they state, but there is some little bit of wiggle room. So, I mean, let's take a look here. Let's look at this chat. National Archives told Joe to F off. Yeah, they did. They definitely did. But let's do this here. I did have and we can go over that at some point. Let's see. I wanted to see if I could find it here. It's going to take me a while to pen through this one. I have to go back all the way. This is 31st. Man, we have to go back to that far back. Let's go equal. How about just search it with their 28th? All right, let's take a look at this one. This is Volokh Conspiracy. They do a lot of this stuff. They do a lot of stuff on legal. It's a blog that's posted. It used to be just the Volokh all by itself, but then they came under Reason. So if you go to Reason up here under Volokh and you click that, it's a bunch of legal stuff here, which is actually pretty good. It's a lot of good attorneys. I don't necessarily agree with all of them, but you at least get a lot of historical precedent. Okay, so this guy, Stephen Sachs, is in here. He says, as promised, my new paper. And the fact that people, scholars aren't just throwing this away as it's nothing means that there's something to it, okay? So, yes, some scholars do believe it's the law of the land. Others do not, and I think it's somewhat iffy. But here we go. As promised, my new paper of the ERA Amendment 28th is now available on SSRN. What is SSRN? Is that Tim Pool's website? Did I just really suck this out? The 12th Amendment in the SSRN. I don't know what that's. The paper lays out new historical evidence on prior Article 5 amendments to show that Congress can and has placed legally operative language in its proposing resolution. Okay, so what they're really talking about there is some of the amendments had no deadline. They didn't have a deadline so it's, is it ratified? And when it does become ratified by the amount of, 3/5 of the states, 2/3 of the Senate, then you're good to go. But there is precedent that an amendment does need to have a time limit on it, so to speak. How legally place operative language in its proposing resolutions and not just in the proposed article text. The implication is that the ERA's 7-year time limit is valid and that the article the ERA proposed to add is not. Here's the abstract. Whether the ERA is, right now, part of the Constitution is a matter of serious dispute. So it's a serious dispute. I know I laughed at it because it's easy to look at, but it's not just, there's a some states have actually done this, and the Congress and the Senate has actually put this through. So after Biden's statements regarding the deadline, the ERA is doubtful validity may provoke a minor constitutional crisis. There may be a legal answer, not only in the resolution proposing the Bill of Rights, but also in those proposing the 12th and 17th Amendments. Congress included operative language that modified the legal force of the newly proposed text. This language was deliberately chosen, was repeated by state ratifications, and seems to be accepted as legally effective. This historical practice suggests that under Article 5, the resolution is the amendment. The constitutional change proposed by the resolution as a whole, not just by the particular language it proposes to append. This understanding means that certain parts of the 1788 Constitution have been repealed, not just superseded. It also means that the ERA's deadline rendered it incapable, even with 38 states' assent, of making any valid change to the Constitution's text. The recent lobbying efforts on its behalf, including President Biden's statement, are therefore seriously misguided. In a divided society, losing consensus of the Constitution's text carries an especially high cost. The National Archives is wrong to play with fire. And from the introduction. Okay, it keeps going on. Do I want to read this whole thing? And they say read the whole thing. Okay, let's go through this. That's fine. Maybe there's some goodness to it, and then we'll be done here for today. And there's one thing that Americans are entitled to expect from their law professors, to paraphrase Justice Robert Jackson. It's the rules of law that let them tell whether the Constitution has been amended, and if so, how. Unfortunately, whether the ERA is right now part of the Constitution is a matter of serious dispute. 38 states have sought to ratify the ERA. The required number under Article 5's 3/4 ratification requirement. Were these ratifications successful, the ERA would have come into effect on January 27, 2022. But 3 states acted only after the lapse of the ERA's 7-year deadline, which Congress put in its resolution proposing the amendment 50 years earlier. Wow. 4 more states had purported to rescind their ratifications before the deadline expired, and a 5th did so on its expiration. Nonetheless, in the waning hours of his term, President Biden endorsed the ERA's validity, announcing his view that it was the 28th Amendment and the law of the land. Similar claims have been made by the majority of Democratic members of Congress, joined by influential scholars and groups such as the ABA, American Bar Association, which is just a nothing group. You don't have to be a member of the ABA as an attorney. It's basically a far left legal association. To date, the ERA hasn't been published as the validity of the archives of the United States, whose statutory duty would be, nor is the second Trump administration likely to recognize it as valid. But in the meantime, or under future Congress or administration, the ERA's doubtful validity could provoke a minor constitutional crisis. Okay, let's get back to the real. I'm just reading this stuff here, but you guys, there's still context here, and I don't know if she's late banned Photoshop. Says Crowder likes to cross dress in his sketches. Is kind of sus, very very sus. There's a lot of look. I don't mind the gay joking but his innuendo is almost more like yeah, it's sus. It's very sus. That's for sure. Okay. Let's keep going on here. I wanted to actually get to the point where, I think we're done with that. I was going to say what the problems would be if you did have
and of course.
Okay, I don't know what Curtis Jarvin was coming on there for. If you did have a 28th Amendment, what would be some of those problems? Let's. I don't know if we want to talk at all. I think I'll just give this and then we'll be out of here. So thanks for joining us on a Sunday, and then we'll get back to a Friday show. I don't know if I'll be able to do a Friday show because I have a 2-day trial, Thursday and Friday, depending on how long it goes. I just may not have anything prepped, but we'll try to do something even if it's Friday evening. So always check back with us on Friday, like, subscribe, and we get a show going out there and you get notifications. Make sure you check us out on Rumble too. In the description, there's a link to the Rumble page. If you type LPR on Rumble, you'll get it. And the reason I say that is because last week the show crapped out on YouTube and X. It still went full live to Rumble. And Rumble does seem to have the better notifications. So, and we get your comments and concerns from everybody there. It says the deposition was for a different lawsuit. Which deposition are you talking about? I'm not sure. You talking about Crowder? Perhaps. Nick Rekieta's case is done and over. So we have that. And he pled guilty. He got his wife off. He got April off. He's going to have some sentencing coming up here. I'm still suspect as to the kid's part. It looks like what he had to do to get those things situated. We still don't have body cam footage. We still don't have full testing of the kids. So a lot of suspect behaviors there. I think what really came about from this was it just confirmed what everybody was seeing right up until he got arrested, that he's kind of a piece of shit. And, you know, if you want to watch him, do it at your own peril. He was not so good with a lot of, maybe we'll try to do a thing. Maybe I'll try to do a show with Kurt, Sean, and maybe Legal Mindset, Andrew, or maybe even Nate. See if I could get everything, and we do a recap of this. I don't know if they'd be interested in that, but that would be my kind of idea. I know some people, I had a guy in here last week said, you did another show on Ricada, unfollowed. And I'm like, okay. Sure, why not? I don't have a problem necessarily with that. Jared Monroe, we did that. Moynihan, we did that. Okay, I think we're done. So that'll be all for today. So there you go. There's the Crowder update for those that came in here, and I hope everyone had a good time. Go back next Sunday is the Super Bowl, so you know we got that going on. Other than that, take care.
Things are going to start happening to me now.
I think Tyler is amazing.
And I'm a fan of this show. I've watched several episodes.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Tyler. You stink, Tyler.
Never promise crazy a baby.
Oh, I like that. That's a cool idea.
Are either of you homosexuals?
I go both ways. What do you think?
You mean like flaming or?
No, we're not homosexual, but we are willing to learn.
But I do wonder, for others, in other cases, whether libertarianism today is just an excuse for many on the right to act selfishly.
Look at me. And then some fat asses in Washington started having opinions. The Olympic Committee started having opinions. You bitch, I know you. You started writing your opinions.
And it just makes me wonder, you're dead, bitch. You know, why are you doing this to this poor guy?
I don't care. I'm a libertarian. What I'm getting is,
Did you vote for Joe Jorgensen or Trump?
Who?
Joe Jorgensen. That was the perfect answer. Thank you.